I'm Chris Brogan. I'm here with Anthony Iannarino because, Anthony, we've put together something for people called Finding the Superpower of Flight. And this really, it's come out of a lot of conversations we've been having back and forth. But I guess what we wanted to do is, how do we help people understand that they just need a little bit of something that they already have inside them to kind of make the next step or get to the next level? What started this mess? Why did we decide this was a good idea?
I don't know, but why did we call it the superpower of flight? So we would absolutely confuse everybody on figuring out what it is that we're doing. So how we did start this is we were both talking about permission and how many people we know that are waiting for permission, and they've got something inside, they've got this gift, and you can see it and I can see it, and they talk about it, but they never go ahead and go all the way and start taking the actions that would get them there. And they're waiting for somebody to say it's okay and give them permission. And we look at this, and both you and I have struggled with this at times where you think, is it right? Is it good enough? And you don't pull the trigger. And so as we talked about this, I think both of us came to the conclusion in one conversation over coffee, this is holding so many people back. It's just holding them back. And if we could go to them and hand them the key that they already have in their hand to unlock the shackles on their hands and their feet that they put themselves in, we'd all be able to share their gifts. So the idea behind this program, Finding the Superpower of Flight, is to talk to people about what's the mindset so that you can get out of that trap, get out of that box that you've locked yourself in, and go ahead and live your dream and be your authentic self and start taking actions, the kind of actions that you and I have taken. That's the whole premise.
You know, we both have read a lot of these touchy-feely books, though. We've both bought the audio tapes back in the day and CDs later from people who were just selling the "you've just got to believe" kind of a thing. And I think that we both agree that while that does get you a little further, I mean, you do go, hey, you're right. I do just got to believe. You know, thereafter, you have to put a little bit more meat underneath it. What makes this program something that we're not going to feel embarrassed about selling to people?
What's great about this, and I think this is rule 4 of the 6 rules that we're going to talk about, that's learn to love the grind. And it would be so wonderful if you could buy this program and then not have to do the work. But it's never going to happen because we're not going to sell you that. If you come and you join us here, we're going to tell you how to get in the mindset and how to learn the love of grinding that work out, because that's ultimately what you're going to have to do. And when you said audio, I thought you were going to lead me into this is going to be an audio program as well.
True.
The idea behind this is that you're going to want to listen to this when you're in your car, maybe on your iPod, you're going to the gym, you're doing something, to just get this reminder so we can come back and touch you again whenever you need to hear this message about how do you give yourself permission? How do you unleash your inner coach? How do you do all the things that we talk about so you'll start taking action, start living the life that you want to, and start finding your own superpower of flight?
Anthony, I can't make this up. So you're off teaching your MBA class right now, and I'm, sitting in my my house here in the dark, just reading a book, and a guy contacts me on Twitter, totally not making this up, and says, "I need your help because in my company I give away 75% of what I make to people in Haiti. And I need your help because I'm having trouble with my something." And so I have no idea what he's on about. I say, "Give me your email address." His email that he writes to me is basically, "I'm not really doing any work, but I've made these amazing email autoresponders that have great information in them, and I don't understand why people aren't spending money with me." And then I said, "You didn't do any of the work. Like you've fully cold called somebody with what sounds like stuff I've seen in my spam box 10 million times, and there's no one's going to buy from you in that case. We can't make this up. I mean, people every day are taking maybe part of the recipe that we've cooked up. We've got 6 ideas that we're going to promote in depth and give people some kind of to-dos. We're going to give them recipes. But I mean, you and I, we must come across this every day. And even sometimes, let's admit it, we do it ourselves. There's parts where we like skip a part or we don't do something in that formula. And when we fail, we go, we didn't do what we said we would do.
Didn't do the work. Yeah, and this is, Chris, you know how passionate I am about this. We've talked about it a million times. And on our 5 rules of social selling, you have to create value before you claim any. If you're going to try to monetize anything, you're going to create values for somebody else first. You might have a fancy email responder, or you might have the next greatest thing since sliced bread, but it isn't going to fly if you don't do the work and create the value first. And I think this is a big part. This mindset of what has to happen before. We've got 3 rules that sort of set up that mindset before you get to the part where you have to learn to love the grind. but you do have to learn to love it. You've got to get up in the morning and say, I'm anxious to sit down and start doing the work. You were nice enough to repost the fact that I wrote 1 million words on my blog, 2.8 years. That's 16 books. I have no books, but I've written 16 books worth because I write at 5 o'clock in the morning while everyone else is asleep, and I have people that come to me and say, how do you do this? I love the work. And I bring myself to the work. Some days, you hate the work. Some days the blank Word document on the screen is the worst thing you've ever seen. But you have to learn to love it and do the work and create that value, or it's not going to happen. And this, finding the superpower of flight, is going to help you do that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, just today I was talking to an old boss of mine, and she was my favorite boss ever. And she's gone on to her first ever consulting job. And so it's an interesting spot because first off, I'm hiring her to consult with me and help me with some operational things I want to learn. At the same time, she's sort of looking over at me like, this is my first time going out on my own. I've been a corporate drone for I don't know how long. How did you do it? Where'd you get the confidence? And I felt like saying, just wait a minute, Anthony and I have a whole course ready for you.
Help you with that. And we're not always confident, and we weren't always confident. I've struggled, I think some of this, let's just use the blog as a format to share with people, but you write something and you think, what are people going to think about this? How are people going to respond? Should I post this? What's the impression that they're going to get of me? And somebody's going to say something and I'm going to have to defend it. And you go through all those things in your mind, and at some point you hit the publish button anyway. We'll help you get to that point where you can hit the publish button with confidence. I think you get to some point where you do the work, you're confident in it. We'll follow the rules and explain them to you in a way that hopefully they can make sense to you and you can adopt them. Know this, though, not everyone's going to like your work. Chris knows that as well as anybody.
No, everyone loves everything I write, Anthony. I hate to sound like an infomercial, but I'm going to risk it. This is not a course for bloggers, this is not information for bloggers. This is not information for you must do this only online. This is for salespeople. This is for business people. This is for anybody who's saying, I'm here and I need to get over there and I'm just not feeling it yet. What do I do? What else am I missing there? Who else needs this thing?
No, that's it. I think anybody who is not doing what they want to do, they're not really bringing their true, authentic, whole self to whatever it is that they want to do. They're not living the brand that they really are, and they're held back because they're holding themselves back, and they believe that they're waiting for permission and that somebody has to come along and tap them on the shoulder and tell them that it's okay. And we're going to tell you that that's never going to happen and help you give yourself that permission. And I think both of us will share the same thing with you. Chris can disagree with you once, but I don't think he will. We're waiting for you to share your gift with us, and we hope that, like our communities, which have brought us in, and all the people that we brought into our communities, that you share that so we can bring you in and help you build your community, whether it's here, whether it's in your own workplace, whether it's doing something different than you're doing like your consultant friend. This is the program for you.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, the other thing I really love is that in a lot of these kinds of programs, you have no idea the background of the person. You're pretty sure that, what they've got is a degree in turning on record on a video system or whatever. I believe, I don't remember, what's that willing published revenue number that you like to point out? That, I mean, you're not just some guy who writes about sales. You happen to actually sell things.
40 million.
I thought it was 40. I couldn't remember. I was thinking 25 and I didn't want to make you feel bad. So 40.
I don't want to go back to 25, but I want to go up from 40. Yeah, so I've sold and I still sell, and I'm success oriented and I'm driven that way. But I think like everybody else, I waited for a long time to start doing a lot of what I'm doing because I was waiting for somebody to say, yes, it's okay. And you don't have to wait anymore, and we're going to help you not wait.
Well, starting around 5, I figured I'd be an author, and then I spent a real lot of my high school and college years telling people I was an author. But what I wasn't doing was actually writing. But I hit a New York Times bestseller. I mean, it was a boring week. I guess we lucked out, but I'm on my 4th book, and the 5th one will be out next year, I guess. So I've got some things. So you've got some things. We've got things. So come by. So we've got to go to hbway.com/flight, or as Anthony will tell you, hbway.com/flight. And we'll get into this thing. We're going to have this program. It's live for the people who show up live, but yes, it will be recorded. In fact, we've also talked, we're going to give an audio recording. What have I missed?
We're going to give them a workbook.
Of course.
And so you'll have the questions that you can do some of this stuff on your own. You'll have the audio recording so you can take it with you and you can listen to it. Actually, it'll be a different audio recording. You'll get to listen to a different audio recording, and then you'll have the video here you can always come back to.
Yeah, because, you know, that's a chintzy thing sometimes is if I just cut out the audio from the video, it seems weird. Or, you know, if even from the slides or whatever, because, you know, we just want to make sure we deliver something that's good for you and a little more meaty. hbway.com/flight. Come see us. Find your superpower of flight. Anthony?
September 27th.
Is that it? September 27th? It's just like around the corner.
8 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be here. And if you can't make it, we will have a recording for you, so you'll be able to get all of this even if you can't make it at that time.
No question, everyone's going to ask me in email and comments all over this thing, will it be recorded?
Yes, we will.
Yep. And we're going to say it like 20 more times. Recorded, recorded, recorded. It'll be recorded. Come see us.
We'll see you soon.